Sous vide is awesome, by the way. That maybe that will be your next one. But to be able to like vacuum seal steaks that I buy, I get them at the store on discount, vacuum seal them up, throw them in the freezer, and then when I'm ready for steak, I'll just take a bunch of them, drop them into the sous vide, frozen at 120 for 2 hours, and they come out perfect. All you need to do is sear them after that. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's also great. Sous vide is great for warming things up too. Like if I ever have like leftover eggs and I'm not able to finish, I just throw them in a vacuum bag and I can throw them right back in the sous vide at a low water temperature, and they'll just warm up and be like perfect kind of temperature and consistency. So that's a good one to add. Um,
Yeah, I
chapter
might need
two,
to get a gift for myself.
there you go. There you go. Chapter 2 of your book is one of my favorites, writing about kids. This is not something I've seen very much of. So why did you decide to take this on?
Yeah, I get comments all the time that I'm going to give my kids an eating disorder and I'm screwing them up. And you know what? Maybe I am. I don't know. I'm hoping for the best. But yeah, I just wanted to share my approach on what we do and why they're not strict carnivore and how we try and teach them, proper nutrition and macros. And we do give them a little bit of freedom when we're out to make their own decisions because I don't want to say no to all these things and then have them go to a friend's house and binge on all the things. So we give them a little leeway here and there to feel like they, have that power to make their own decisions, even if it's stuff I don't want them to eat. But yeah, we keep everything in the house, like things I can say yes to and things I want them to eat. I have to be mindful about how much fruit they have because I can see them being little sugar addicts. So that's where we teach them about macros. Essentially, it's like, okay, you want a piece of fruit? Well, what protein are you going to have with it? And we just try and keep it simple and, hope that I'm not screwing them up.
It's just the best way to approach it from all the carnivore parents that I've talked to out there. It's just like don't bring the crap in the house. At the end of the day, you're the parent. You can decide how strict or how lenient you want them to be. But if you have mostly or only great options, it gives the kids so much you know, it gives them what am I trying to say? Like it gives them confidence to pick whatever they want, and they feel like empowered is the word I'm looking for. Like they feel really empowered to choose whatever they like, what sounds good in that moment. If you don't have a bunch of crap on hand, that seems the best way to approach it.
Exactly. Yeah. Because if we have, they do once in a while like get treats, but I don't even want that in the house because if there's leftovers and they're constantly asking me for it and it's annoying. So it's like, I want the treats to be out of the house. So it's you have it and you're done and you move on. We don't have more of it. So yeah, keep everything in the house like, things you can say yes to. Like you have control until they get older and they can buy their own food. But yeah, do the best you can while you're able to control what they're eating.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, another question about the kiddos. What have you noticed with them having that option to buy whatever they want or eat whatever they want when they're out of the house? I'm just curious whether they leave the house and go to some party and like binge on sugar and then come back, or do you notice that they are paying attention to how they're feeling a lot more than they used to, and they're self-selecting those kinds of foods anyway?
I see both. My older one, I feel like is starting to be a little bit more aware, or he'll even like say, like, "Mom, I had a cupcake, but I didn't finish it all. I'm listening to my body." So we try and tell them like, listen to your body. And later, when you're not feeling good and you're being all crazy, then I'll point out it's like, okay, it's probably because you ate whatever you ate earlier. So yeah, they don't always make the best decisions because it's that food's addicting and it tastes delicious. Like I don't blame them, but I think they're understanding that it's not going to be the best things for our body. So while they will have it, I do see my older one starting to control it a little bit more.
That's good. Okay. And then what other foods do you list in that chapter as kind of the safer, like plant foods or other foods that you can include to make, again, the difference between like a carnivore diet being all meat versus animal based, which is like mostly meat. I kind of lump them all together into like a hyper carnivore anyway. But if somebody were to have safe plant foods, what are some of your favorites?
Yeah, so we just offer fruit for the kids. I mean, if they wanted vegetables, I wouldn't keep them from them, but like they're not. It was so funny. My kid the other day was like, "What are we having for dinner?" Because I was going to order something, and I'm like, "And then I can get a side of broccoli," and he's like, broccoli? Like, the reaction was so like, "Wait, what did you just say?" Because honestly, I haven't fed them vegetables in probably like over a year. So we just do fruit. I try and keep it mainly to berries. I mean, they will have other stuff, but I wouldn't say they're like keto or anything, but just being aware of, having a lower carb type of fruit. Avocados, pickles. We love pickles, olives. Yeah, I think those would be like my go-tos.
Gotcha. Okay. Have you met any carnivores who missed vegetables after a while?
No.
I don't even think I've heard of that.
No, and I think what you might miss, like, I will say I kind of miss fried Brussels sprouts, but what I liked about them is because 'cause they're crispy and crunchy and salty and fried in oil. So, I think we kind of get the better side of that. Like, I can drink some bacon grease and salt and
Yeah.
be okay.
That's great. Okay, so in the book, you also include meal plans. What is the best way for you to recommend that people use the meal plans? We have used several meal plans. We used to use the Diet Doctor meal plans. They were great before Diet Doctor kind of took a bit of a divergence and don't really do a lot of the same things we recommend anymore. But their meal plans are really helpful, if nothing else, to kind of visually see what some of these recipes could look like. So and you do a great job laying out all the different types of meal plans. There's several different ones. I believe four different kinds, depending on your level of strictness and adherence to a carnivore diet. But how do you recommend that people use the meal plans to get the most out of them?
Yeah, I think it's just, it just takes a little bit of the brain work out of it. And so we have a regular standard carnivore meal plan, there's a dairy free, and then there's a lion diet. So if you're just starting out on carnivore, I would definitely recommend just starting with the standard. I wouldn't go from day 1 to lion diet unless you have, some autoimmune issues you're trying to deal with. But yeah, just ease into it and then you can see like what type of way you like to eat the best.
Yeah. Okay. What for the person that's looking at those meal plans and seeing the shopping lists that are also included and are thinking like, "Oh my goodness, meat is so expensive. There's no way I'm going to be able to afford this." What do you tell to them?
Grocery store meat is very nutritious. You don't need to buy grass-fed, grass-finished, organic, bathed in the sun, like whatever weird stuff is going on. Like just keep it simple. You can go to Walmart, you can go to Ralph's or whatever you want. It's going to be so much more nutritious than eating a standard American diet. So shop the sales, buy what you love and what you can afford.
Do you spend less now on a carnivore diet than you did before on any of the other diets you were on?
People say they do. I feel like it can be done. But when I start buying those carnivore bars and carnivore snacks and this and that, that can add up. But yes, I mean, it can definitely be done way cheaper because we're not throwing out that bag of spring mix that gets shoved in the back of your fridge anymore, you know?
Yeah, let alone all the snacks that you're
Yeah.
going to need in 2 hours after eating whatever little bit of the spring mix you're going to eat. You're gonna be starving, and so people forget about all the little snacks and little things that add up, all the sugar coffees and all those things that are really, really expensive and add up. Where I think in the book you said, like, for some people, if you're doing, ground beef and you eat the certain amount that you need, you might only be spending $5 to $10 a day, and I've certainly found that to be the case.
Yeah, if you just keep it simple, have some eggs and ground beef and, steaks when they're on sale and a little bit of dairy if you tolerate it, you can do this very cheaply.
Gotcha. Now, on the recipes themselves, like I said, they all look delicious. How did you decide which ones to include? And how difficult was it to realize that there was going to be a lot that maybe you make or whatever that wouldn't actually make the cut?
Yeah, so I had a long list of there was a lot more that I wanted to get in there. And it just, I don't know, it just kind of depend on what if I was working on it, I'm like, okay, I just cannot get this one to work, or I'm not feeling this one anymore and I'm feeling this. So it was definitely a working and moving list. And there was a lot of changes as I went through it.
Gotcha. Okay. And the breakfast section in particular does have a lot of egg dishes, although there are alternatives if people can't handle the eggs, which is great. And in every chapter, but in breakfast, I really noticed it in particular. You did such a great job of balancing the very, very simple things with also things that would give a little bit more variety, that would require a little bit more, maybe would require a little bit more time that you'd want to do on the weekends, make things a little bit fancier for the kids. But it's a nice mix of, again, like a recipe can be eggs and bacon, and the recipe's called eggs and bacon. Like that's all the ingredients and all the steps. And so I love that it's a mix of both of those things, because while a lot of us are kind of like you and I, we get to this place in carnivore where it's like a recipe is burger patty or it's steak or eggs or it's just a one ingredient thing. Some people do miss the variety and do miss kind of spicing it up for the kids and doing other things.
Yeah, so that's why I think it's nice to yes, there are basic recipes in there for the people that like to keep it simple, but part of the theme was for this book was for those of you who are sick of burger patties and steaks and you just want to be a little bit more creative to help keep this way of eating sustainable for you. And it's fun. Like, yeah, we can all have burger patties and steaks, but once in a while to like really eat something that's a little like different and decadent and different flavors and textures that we're not used to from, meat that I don't know, it's just fun.